It's a little bit more, like fluffier and like light. There's not a lot of emotional depth to it. Whereas my personality type is very much into emotional depth, for better or for worse. And so that also plays into my hopelessly romantic I'm definitely Michael Scott over romanticizing relationships all the time, because I can see the best in people, and I want and I'm
ready to get hurt again.
I'm ready to get eggs, exactly. Oh, and you might have herpes. Bye. I guess if you could intentionally pop a rib, that'd be kind of intense.
Oh, right? You can.
Yeah,
that's more of a
chiropractic.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got to get in between.
It's hard to get there, but yeah.
I don't know if I could do it with my brain. I mean, you can. But that's gonna take a long time.
My right ankle, for whatever reason, doesn't hurt. I actually had an injury on my left ankle. The right ankle sounds like a tree snapping a branch. I'll be in yoga class, and if I don't do it before I get to class, I roll away in there. And teacher's like, it's okay, because they have to be like, if you have some, cracks, just shaking things out. And we all know that was a fucking tree snapping in a hurricane. There's not even a big joint.
If anyone wants to fart or snap their bones, now's the time. Feel free to
do both.
Yeah.
Same time?
Simultaneously, yeah, that'll happen. Welcome back to the Bridge Podcast. I'm Sean Nixon.
John Matthew.
How you feeling today, man?
Oh, what is today?
Today's the fucking best day of your life.
So we switched the clocks back. Is today Monday?
Oh, God, that fucked me up yesterday, huh? I'm fucking running off of the wrong clock system.
Because you think that it's just matter of fact now that all clocks just kind of change? Because I didn't even know the clocks changed because everything had already automatically shifted. But that
time
damn
is just
car
such
clock.
a fucking concept.
Yeah,
that's so silly. Right, because the car clock
was
just
going to
up.
agree that it's not really 12. It's actually 11.
It's whatever you want it to be. Dude, I don't even know the date and shit. Since we started, entrepreneurship and stuff, the other day I was like, what is it, February 3rd? They're like, dog, it's midway through March.
Yeah, someone asked me if
I'm working 7 days a week.
Yeah, someone asked me if I work on the weekends. It's like, do I work on the week? What's the weekend, I guess?
There's no weekend. Every day is life. We've graduated from that. We've already talked about this. It's like when you feel like shit on Sunday night because Monday morning sucks, you're fucking up.
Working for the weekend. That's where they get it from.
Yeah. No. I've done that.
Coffee, make it through the week. Alcohol.
Yes.
Forget that I have the week ahead.
I'm out of that game. That's a fucking...
Cashed out.
Yeah, I cashed out. I cashed my chips out on that game.
Took my chips.
I'm taking my lessons with me.
Now Samuel Jackson's following me. He's going to break my knees. That was a crazy movie. Oh, yeah. It's based on a true story.
For real?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Those are good ones.
Yeah.
Well, then again, all movies are.
Oh, yeah.
Some just exaggerate a little more than others, but they're all based on true story. But anyway, today we're going to address, this week is going to be the Know Thyself week.
Ooh.
Because we're always talking about awareness, situational awareness, but most importantly, self-awareness. Self-awareness is how you know thyself as far as your strengths and weaknesses and what you can work on and how you can help yourself and others. Okay?
Know yourself.
So today we're going to be doing some, whatever you want to call it, Western psychology and political type of tests, a Meyers Briggs personality type of situation, a political compass test, just to show how to debate and actually think. Instead of letting the TV put you into tribal camps, we're going to talk out issues, use our brain, hear the other side, find out what you think, and critically think and make your own decisions. Yeah. So what we did first and foremost is we took a personality test where it has the 16 types where you get the 4
Meyers
letters.
Briggs is the name of the test. Pretty popular. A lot of businesses use it, and it's been around. You may have done it.
And if not, you should, because what you're going to do is learn shit about yourself, strength-wise, weakness-wise, and how you communicate and get along with others. Because I know myself kind of well, and that's the journey of the soul.
You know as much as you
know. For now, right? Because I'm actively working on knowing myself even more. But the surface and couple layer down stuff matched up completely accurate. Strength,
Yeah.
weaknesses, and everything else. So we'll get right into it. I happen to be an ENFJ. Infj.
Yeah.
Okay, and what are you again?
I'm an INFP.
So the E is extrovert and the I is introvert. So that's where we differ and how it's complementary and why you love the show so much. But the rest is kind of similar. So we're both in N, which is intuitive, versus observant.
Yeah, or sensory is also the term used. So that's just, again, going on intuition or gut instinct versus what you're presented with in your physical reality, right? Our senses go by.
We're both also in F, which is a feeler as opposed to a thinker.
Heart, a little bit bigger than the brain. Not bigger, but more attention gets put there on the brain, which makes sense. I'd say so.
I mean, you got to follow your heart, guys. And then I happen to be a J, which stands for judging, but not in a negative way. And he's a P, which is like perceiving.
Yeah.
So, like, how would you explain those two?
Judging. So, yeah, that sounds bad, like judging other people. But
Working so hard on non-judging.
Non-judgment, but judgment. It's judgment in terms of discernment,
Right.
or ability to kind of extrapolate a situation. And perceiving. And there's different terms that people use. Some people say, like, prospecting. But it's just kind of taking your, again, perception of the situation for what that is. And that goes in with the intuition and stuff like
Sure.
that, for my type at least.
Sure.
So how you perceive reality versus how you break down and extrapolate based on what you're given
Okay.
is the difference there.
I
Yeah.
like it. So the similarities and differences balance each other out. There's also 4 like groups that each 4 of the 16 total personality types fall into. We both happen to be diplomats, which makes sense if we had a definition. Other people are analysts, sentinels, or explorers.
And this is based on the 16personalities.com test, not the official Meyers Briggs. So I don't think the Meyers Briggs officially has those categories.
But it makes
the
sense.
16 personalities is based off of it, and it makes sense.
It makes a ton of sense.
They tidy it up and it looks real nice.
So, my ENFJ ass says, I am warm, bold, I have strong ideas and values, and I love to help others. I am the protagonist, is what they, and I love it, because I'm the fucking protagonist of my own movie, all right? And that's what they're calling my personality type, is the protagonist, okay? The protagonist is a natural-born leader full of passion and charisma. And here's my favorite part. It's less than 2% of the population is the protagonist.
Yeah.
So that's just leaders of the pack, all right? Coaches, teachers, they're built to achieve a lot to inspire others. Natural confidence, getting people to work together is their deal, my deal. Strong personalities, radiate authenticity. The only concern is altruism. I mean, I'm always seeking the truth and speaking my truth and holding space for other people to sing their song and speak their truth. Good natural communicator and motivator. Passionate, altruistic, I said that. They want to lead the way to a brighter future, whether it's leading a nation to prosperity or their team to a hard-fought victory.
That's legit.
So what do you think?
Makes sense.
So your INFP is the moderator?
Is mediator.
Mediator.
So my type, I like the graphics too they put on this website. So like yours is like a guy with like a sword
and shit,
stuff.
of course.
Mine's like a blonde chick running through a field that looks like a hippie girl, which makes sense.
Of course.
And on a bunch of different levels, and I'll get to what I mean by that in a second. But my type is like the quiet, creative, passionate, and also altruistic type as well. So the big part for my type is self-expression, being individualistic and being able to express their creative self, but also caring about other people in a good way and in a bad way in terms of adjusting their personality sometimes too much to other people because of how much they care about what other people think for themselves and for others. But then also finding a passionate way to give back. And then the mediator, like what that word literally means, is someone who's in the middle, who's open-minded and able to see both sides. Someone who doesn't get just fixated on one particular view, but is open to multiple people's opinions, which, I've been in situations many times throughout my life where I'm like stuck in the middle. And so that's just kind of forced me to kind of go into that type and see more, which is a benefit. Seems like a drawback when you're like stuck in the middle, but then now I get to learn more about and step back and observe. So,
I see that's nothing but a positive thing, but I know what you're saying.
I don't know. I think mine's a small percentage of the population too, as well. And a lot of people that are in my type tend to be in creative professions. So like actors, writers, musicians tend to be in this. Also people who are like counselors and stuff like that. So
makes sense.
Speaking of people, you said you got some famous
I was going to say, they give you a list of like famous people, fictional and non-fictional, alive and dead or whatever, that fit that personality type. So I picked one male and one female from like 10 they provided. I'm going with Maya Angelou, which is a powerful figure in my opinion.
It's a hard hitter.
She's a hard hitter for sure. And then Morpheus, which blew my mind because if you haven't seen the movie The Matrix, you're living in it and you're fucking up. So you should realize Bruce Lipton, okay, is a neuroscientist, super straight and narrow scientist. He said the movie The Matrix is not a movie, it's a documentary. If you believe in shit,
the machines,
it's real.
Terminator's about the machines. The Matrix is about the machines.
There's just different levels of Hollywood hyperbole and exaggeration. But that's the real thing. What you believe is real. That's your perception of your reality. So Morpheus is trying to save humanity, and he knows that Neo is the one. And he's like, Neo, you need to believe in yourself.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean,
I
Neo's
guess not.
the one.
No,
not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
And Morpheus is like, you need to believe in yourself because we need you to save everyone. Like, I'm just the leader here.
Did they ever make a connection in the movie that the one O-N-E and Neo or N-E-O are all...
That's part of the...
Did they make that
They
clear?
don't say it, but
that's
you're
part of
a
it.
smart enough guy.
As a watcher, a viewer of the movie, yeah.
Yeah, you got to pick those shits up. So I really resonate with Morpheus for sure, and I'm just a big fan of Maya Angelou, so I thought that was cool. You got any characters?
I got a lot of mine again are like artists in terms of not necessarily painters, but like writers, poets,
creative.
Two that I'm gonna go with is Shakespeare is one. All right,
the storyteller.
The storyteller, the creative, very expressive, self-expressive. Because if you talk about the stuff he was able to write, and this whole podcast is Know Thyself. If you listen to the stuff he wrote, he was actually not just like like a drama person. He was just someone who's delved into the psyche and
Big
meaning
time.
of human life and consciousness and expressed that through these tricky little ways. And that's what ended up creating a whole generation of...
And your whole thing of original conscious content, there wasn't people writing movies and plays before Shakespeare, guy. He was fucking thinking that he's like, wait, I got an idea. That's why I love fucking the Beatles. There was nobody doing a fucking chorus and singing like that before that.
No.
But maybe that's a bad example. Beethoven?
Come on.
Who the hell was playing like that? They're pioneers. And I don't know anybody who was making plays like that before Shakespeare.
I think like before Beethoven, and my friend was in music school, and we actually talked about this one time. But it was all like these derivatives of like, have you heard of the church mode?
Yes, of course.
Yes,
That's
so
what I
like
learned in school,
those
too.
like rigid forms, because it used to be just like chanting in these ways, and then it was like, well, what if we just do something like, like a little different? Elvis was the same way too. Like he was another pioneer in a different way. He did cover a lot of songs and got credit for them. But his style and the way he brought that pop to it as well, created a generation. But
you can say that about anybody. I mean, the Beatles took from Chuck Berry.
Exactly.
Elvis took from everybody. The Led Zeppelin and Rolling Stones took from blues and fucking black dudes doing everything.
Everybody.
But that's the time period of black dudes doing awesome music, cool people like that going to see that music, and then artists, and then like record labels being like, well, we can't put fucking 5 black dudes on TV, so why don't we steal all their shit, give it to you pretty long-haired looking white guys, and fucking throw you up on stage.
That works.
And it worked, but without a fucking payout or a shout out, that's a little fucked up. But here we are. There's plenty of more fucked up shit in the world to worry about.
So Shakespeare. To be or not to be. Think about that guy.
Dude,
think about that guy for a while. All the world's a stage.
Don't just say it. Well, that is real. You talk about Morpheus. All the world
we're
is
all
a stage.
just acting out who we think we are.
Acting.
You're
just playing your role, baby.
Just playing your role. Reading the lines, man. That's the only rule. Other one I'm going to go with, and this is a fantasy character. I have a lot of Tolkien people in mind, which is kind of cool, because Lord of the Rings is kind of dope.
Super cool.
Arwen from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, shit.
So she's like the princess of the elves.
That's fucking badass.
Badass too, bro.
Dude, I get like all hyped up, dude, because that's what we're getting at here.
Kind of mystical. Because another part of the INFP is, and we'll get into that, is again a little more reserved, a little bit more quiet, but not in like a
powerful.
but powerful because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the thing. When you carry a big stick, you can speak softly. It doesn't fucking matter.
There you go.
Like, you don't got to get all
Teddy
riled
Rose.
up. So you want to hit some strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah, sure.
So the strengths really sound like I'm fluffing my nuts here, but once again, I didn't write this. I plugged in the 50 questions or whatever, and it spit it out. And honestly, it is accurate. So the first one
I'm not saying my nuts are
I'm
fluff,
not
but
saying
they're
I'm
fluffy.
fluffing my nuts, but I'm fluffing my nuts over here. Tolerant is the first one. So that's a team player and a leader who listens to everyone's opinion. Reliable, which is trustworthy, accountable, and punctual. If you see anything that doesn't line up, you fucking call it out. Charismatic, charming, passionate, and able to capture an audience. And they also wrote like pick up on the mood and kind of be a chameleon to what audience they're dealing with, which is a skill and an art in and of itself. Altruistic, which is always seeking the truth. Warm, selfless, a desire to do good for their community, whether it be their home, their town, their neighborhood, or the global stage. And a natural leader. I mean, that I can remember from when I was young. I just remember taking over sports teams and everything else. The protagonists often end up in leadership roles that need a strong, positive personality and vision.
Vision.
I love it. Vision comes from
Ah.
here. This is just to see.
Superhero, bro.
And I don't even see very well. That's
Mind Stone?
ready to get.
Come on, bro.
What a coincidence!
Marvel.
What a coincidence! We'll just put a powerful thing in a robot's third eye and call him Vision, and we'll just
Wink.
the Agatha wink on your
Agatha
ass.
wink.
Come on now.
WandaVision, watch it if you haven't. So INFP strengths. One of the big ones is creativity. Just again, a ton of it of INFPs are artists, and part of that has to do with the fact that, and I can attest to this myself as being one, is that they tend to spend a lot of time thinking about the deeper meanings of life and their own life. And when you get to do that, you get to come across some crazy shit.
The real shit.
And when you're creative, you're like, I got to express that in some sort of way.
Ooh.
And you either make a song about it, and then people are just bopping along because it feels nice, but they don't know the deeper message behind there or what you created for. Same thing with art, like you can look at a painting and like, I don't get it. And it's like, well, it's not for you to get. It's just an expression. You either...
It's for you to get any way you want.
Receive it or,
Right.
or don't.
Or don't.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. This is just how I'm expressing this. Here it is.
Dude, I love that shit so much.
And in terms of, again, strengths is being thoughtful and being very generous, just being apt to other people's emotions. That's the intuitive part, like knowing how someone's feeling and being able to adjust accordingly, know how what someone's thinking too as well. Open-minded, again, the mediator is someone that can see both sides of things, bridging the gap between different things. What?
Bridge it.
So yeah, so very non-judgmental in that way. And also like passionate and very loyal to their sense of value, their sense of humanity and what their purpose is. So I think those lined up pretty good.
Dude, I was going to say. And this is the thing. We're not like reverse engineering this shit.
No,
We've been working on ourselves.
I did this test when I was in one of the worst periods of my life. I did it. So like, which I wouldn't have identified with any of these strengths. These were like, whoa, this is
like,
nice.
Oh, the fucking thing says I'm this, but I'm not this yet.
Yeah. Or just don't even realize it.
We already talked about time being a bunch of bullshit. You're going to catch up. Just hang in there, guys.
Hang in there.
Trust me. I've been there where you want to fucking hit Alt Control Delete and unplug the game. It's not worth it.
Yeah, no.
Trust me.
Alt F4.
Yeah, don't
My
do
browser.
It. Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. If you think about doing it, call me, message me, text me, email me, and I'll tell you why it's not a good idea. All right? So weaknesses. So I'm like prepared to like learn so much from the weaknesses, and the reason why I know that I did is because I'm like, I'm not saying that's not me. I'm saying that's not a bad thing, and I'm trying to like defend the weaknesses.
The weaknesses is like, yeah.
But I'm smart enough to take a step back and try to learn from them. So number one,
the nuts no longer are fluffy.
the nuts deflating. And it was funny because we were talking about this off the mic. I kept saying, like, explain this to me. And you were like, well, here's this and this. And I'm like, that's not a bad thing. That's not a weakness, God damn it. And you're like, well, Exhibit A. So, number one, overly idealistic. Right? So, how did you explain that to me? I was like, You had
So that's one of my weaknesses.
Sure, yeah, let's jump
do
in there.
a co-manage this weakness.
Yes.
So I know I've delved into my overly idealistic sense very, very much because, and it comes from the positive part of what naivete really is.
Yes.
Is innocence, right?
Oof.
And if you talk about innocence, you think someone's innocent or naive, you think they're dumb, essentially. The same way you think judgment means hating on somebody. But they're very different. Naivete, innocence essentially means pureness, right? That's what that means. And
like children
purity
are
of purity.
innocent.
Exactly, right? You don't think children are dumb. You just know that they don't know the shit part of the world, right? It's not because they're idiots. It's because everybody else is shitty. You know,
Yes.
So that naivete, like I know I felt that too. Especially we both know.
I remember the
and
example.
part of our personalities, but we both ran to many people, including ourselves. But if we feel it more with other people who we know that have had really hard struggles and been through some traumatic stuff, and you just want the world to be like a better place. And I think the difference between what I'm remembering the example now too is most people would say that like someone abusing someone, someone raping someone, someone killing somebody, those are bad things, right? I say that's the general population agrees with that, right? But the difference between an overly idealistic person is they believe that they can make a difference in it, and they can they can actually change.
And that's when I was like,
because a lot of people are like, yeah, racism is bad, all rape is bad, but then what are they like? I'm going to go back to my life. There's not much I can do about it. Whereas I'm like, I think we can actually do world peace can actually happen.
Yeah.
Right. Like we're both working.
Yeah.
Right now,
and I said
to get enough influence and money and structure to be able to make a difference.
And I'm like, if other people think they can't, and I think I can make a difference, I'm gonna fucking die trying. Yeah. And you're like, overly idealist.
Yeah. Well, then you said selfless,
like,
right? Overly selfless too.
Oh, well, that's the next one. Too selfless.
Yeah.
So that's what I said. I was like, wait a second. I was like, you're telling me I can fucking get my shield and sword and die, and children and women will have better time in the future? Like, let's fucking ride. Where's my fucking horse, dude? Yeah. And you're like, 1, 2. I was like, oh, okay. All right. I'm getting you now.
Which, again, like the weakness in that is not necessarily that it's bad to help other people, but the sacrificing of yourself would be a loss.
Because it doesn't have, because then you zoom out even further and it doesn't have to be like that.
Exactly, right.
In a perfect
Because like Ram Dass, his story, going to Maharaji, he's like, there was riots in the street for all the fucked up shit was going on. And he's like, Maharaji, like, what do we do about that? He's like, feed people. He's like, what do you mean? It's like, serve people, feed people. Like, that's what you do, like the rioting.
Yeah, they're fighting.
Your anger,
they're rioting.
I get it.
Right.
Suffering is happening.
Yep. Well, that's my favorite. What was it? Mother Teresa. They were trying to break her balls, and they were like, "How come you're not going to all these anti-war rallies? We're trying to end the war in Vietnam. You don't show up at the anti-war rally." She goes, when you make a pro-peace rally, I'm going to go.
Yeah, because a riot or a protest is war in and of itself.
Boom. Once you understand
you're
energy,
warring with war.
Yeah, you're fighting hate with hate and darkness with darkness and fire with fire.
Shit burns down when there's more fire, right? You don't go see firefighters except in Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451,
right,
where you go burn shit down with the firefighters, right?
It's a whole separate movie, by the way, and that's
a whole... Ray Bradbury.
Why we're here.
That's some wild stuff too.
Yep. But that totally makes sense. Once you realize the light needs to shine on the darkness, and
can't fight hate with hate. A lot of people have said that. That's not a new concept. Martin Luther King.
No, and it's vibrational energy, because that's the thing. Because then you can take that internal and be like, well, I am seeing bad things happening. We have to do something about it.
So now what you're doing, you're draining your energy for one. So your capacity to be able to make a difference has got diminished.
It's the same energy. Their anger that they took to hurt someone, and their anger that they felt hurting someone, is your same anger that you are witnessing that. So instead, center yourself and control what you can control, and that's what I'm working on.
And that's the whole, all these spiritual practices are really practices of self-discipline for self-realization.
Yes.
That's the part of self-discipline, because that's a positive kind of energy, but if we got to reel it back in and adjust it, because that can be something. Because
here's my next one. The fixer that wants to fix problems that aren't theirs. And I don't go out of my way, but once again, if it comes into my space, and here's my problem, like when I see a solution, I'm like, let's fucking do it then.
Yeah. Because if it seems obvious, you're not something to someone else.
I'm also not a complainer, and when people around me are just complaining, I'm like, that doesn't help, right? And then not only that, but like from outside looking in, you could just do A, B, and C, and then not only would you not have to complain, but you wouldn't have the problem
Yeah.
that you think you have, because 99.99999%
that's like-
of the time, there's not even a problem.
Yeah, and that's
It's
like your judgment or discernment coming in is like,
Yes.
this is I'm analyzing the situation
Yes.
here. Like, this is what can actually
Yes.
happen here, right?
So it's a weird combination of empathy and logic.
And your extrovert is like, I want
Yes,
to connect with you.
It's empathy,
and let's-
logic, and extrovert at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like, I see the step. I feel for you. I feel with you.
Yeah.
I see the steps, and I'm not shy enough to say, let's not fucking do this shit.
Yeah.
Let's fucking do this shit together. And then it's like, here's the tools, or because I have a whole box of tools that I've been working on, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So here's the tools, or
Sean the Toolman Taylor.
I bring up howdy ho, neighbor, or I bring the tools with you and we fucking work together. Either or, whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? So that's my next one. What's your next weakness?
I got more weaknesses than you. My nuts are not nearly as fluffy. So weakness for overly idealistic too.
Sure.
And for me, again, like I mentioned, this is like I remember being like maybe 5 or 6 years old, and I remember having this thought when like maybe I first got like bullied or got in a fight with a kid. Like I couldn't process the idea why someone would like,
Wouldn't even do that.
why would they would do that?
Mm-hmm.
Like that innocent. Like that's not me being like, oh, I'm such a good person.
No.
It's like I was that innocent. I'm like, that really hurt my
Innocent,
feelings.
naive,
You
and
hurt that
ignorant.
person's feelings.
How does that make
We're
sense?
both upset. Why is that happening? You know,
And then you zoom out even more when you learn, and it's because somebody did that to
and
him.
that kid, you know, like, and then all of a sudden, and then this is the next one. My weaknesses are all extraordinarily accurate for me. Self-critical, like that's been one of this is me trying to find a silver lining.
Yes, yes, I was going to say, there's a tightrope to that.
Self-critical means all like, you know, like if I'm doing something and I'm really focused on it, I'm really passionate about it, like being able to be not nitpicky, but like not a perfectionist
Yeah.
either, which is the negative part of that,
Trying to do
is
your best.
to critique and like want to give your best and have it be good and like-
Analyzing yourself,
Yeah.
like the Buddha when he goes inside for the meditation, he's like, you don't want to attach to your most blissful memory of like, oh, I remember that experience is the best, or oh my god,
worst
that was
thing,
the
right?
worst. You find the middle lane and you're on
middle
cruise
way,
control.
the middle way. So yeah, and then the self-criticism, like you think that's helping because it's going to make you better, but then it just erodes your confidence and then motivates you. Then you shut down, which I've done before from the self-criticism. So that's something I'm always having to fight.
Because the other side of that is the people that don't look at themselves at all, and then they blame or they're unaware. So
And that shit just goes out in the world. So I'd rather beat myself up into submission than have that affect anybody else. So self-care, like in the initial parts of my life, was an issue just because I would just, again, beat myself, and that would create a pattern of not being able to get up after I beat myself up and not believing I could do something because I beat the shit out of myself.
been there.
Done that. And practical. I'm also very, I have, on occasion, impractical. Less now, just because I know that as a weakness.
Sure.
And
Awareness.
all these 7 weaknesses I'm going to go for, I've all delved into because I've all recognized them as my weaknesses. So like,
Sure.
some of them don't seem as prominent as they do now to other people, but I know they're all there, and that's why I've been working on.
Awareness.
Yeah, and practical is this goes hand in hand with the overly idealistic kind of one. Is where I can get that passionate drive of mine and the generosity and the thoughtfulness and the people pleasing, which is the negative aspect of the mediator, can lead me to do things that are just like totally not worth it, or just totally, again, illogical. Because the next weakness, I can be emotionally driven sometimes. So everything's connected here. When I'm emotionally driven and self-critical, I do impractical things out of my overly idealistic sense, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So like the sensitivity, I was again, like when I was little, like that. I remember those first initial memories. Like the earliest memory I have is when I was 3.
Wow.
And like I was always a very sensitive kid. Like I was always a very, very sensitive kid. And I didn't know the good parts of that until I got older. And it was always a really bad thing to me. Like I'm too sensitive. Like you shouldn't be too
like
sensitive.
absorbing everybody's shit.
Yeah, or taking things personally. We talked about the four agreements, identifying with those things. And being really caught up in a positive way too. Like I would get really positively emotionally as well. And then the other two are conflict averse, which is also one, because I'm a mediator. Again, I don't want to. I want to always try. I used to find ways to make everybody happy and not everybody hate me, because when you play the mediator, everyone gets mad at you for not picking a side.
Instead of one side mad at you, everybody's
mad at you. So, but I'm trying to be open-minded here, and like, can't you guys see each other's side? Because I can see your sides.
Me as the leader that sees all sides needs the moderator, moderator, because I can zoom out and see the mediator. I can see both sides too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, not only do you guys not need to kill John, but you need to fucking listen to him.
Yeah, then the negative part of the conflict versus that I'm afraid that I will become the hated one of those two. Like I said, like everyone just gets pissed off at you. So conflict averse. And then difficult to get to know. I guess it's a weakness. I'm an introvert. That's the I in me.
You got the moat and the high wall?
Man.
With the alligators?
It's like,
got that shit too.
You got the... What is it? The Wizard of Oz guy in the hole with the password going through. Like, so yeah, like a lot. I'm very like now. I'm personable, but not extrovert. I'd say, right? Like I don't like a strong personality, but I'm very personable, but not necessarily known. A lot of people don't know the deeper parts of me. Very few people do. That's part of me because We'll get into the relationships now next, right?
I mean, my last weakness is high highs and low lows, which is like...
Low. The parabola is real, bro.
The parabola is real. So the next is like friendships and relationships. And it says, the protagonist, when it comes to friendships, is anything but passive, and they will put effort into maintaining meaningful connections. Okay, because their relationships are substantial and important. And this one I like. The protagonist's friends appreciate the warmth, kindness, passion, and the sincere optimism that they bring to the table.
Yeah, so...
like, people are like, oh, you're always so positive. I'm like, I'm putting out positivity because I understand the other side of that coin. It doesn't mean the darkness doesn't exist. I'm choosing to radiate good vibrations and good energy out. That's the thing. The light is bright because the dark is deep, dog.
Dark and dark.
Yeah.
High, low, low. Bright, night.
Yo, the fucking day is beautiful.
For mine, so like with like romantic relationships, which is also true, this is taps into like my overly idealistic sense, my creative sense. This is where the Shakespeare comes in, is like, at my heart, like what I think of myself as is very poetic. Like I have a very poetic view of things, which is I see things. I can see the beauty in things very easily for me, and I find that to be the most beautiful part of life is the beauty I can see in everything. So like some music that I do like, and a lot of my friends don't like it, sounds depressing to them, but for me, it's like it's a melancholy. It's like a happy sad, because I can see the beauty in the sadness. Because sadness for me is when you feel really sad about something. It's an expression of how much you love something, and that's.
Like passion.
Like because you think about like someone you love dies, like how sad you feel
because you love
them, right? But like
some random person dies, it's equally as sad, but you don't give a fuck as much.
And then like not that I don't listen to like more pop stuff, but it's a little bit more like fluffier and like light. There's not a lot of emotional depth to it, whereas my personality type is very much into emotional depth, for better or for worse. And so that also plays into my hopelessly romantic. I'm definitely Michael Scott over romanticizing relationships all the time, because I can see the best in people, and I want and
I'm ready to get hurt again.
I'm ready to get eggs, exactly. And you might have herpes. Bye.
So good.
And then communication is something that I've been working on. I've always been. I would say a not good communicator. Most people probably say they are not good communicators when they're young because they just learn. That's how all relationships are, is learning how to communicate.
They don't teach you that in school. How do you deal with your emotions and communicate them with other people and set boundaries and ask people proper questions and express your feelings and emotions with other people? I was told to shut the fuck up.
Let me tell you about hypotenuse.
Oh, God.
Because that's relevant to my everyday life.
Dude, I was told to fucking rub some dirt on it, shut the fuck up, men don't cry. Oh, you got a concussion? You might as well throw up and get back in the game. Your team needs you. Like, there's no blood on the battlefield.
Come on, bro.
Like, dude, they literally, football coach. Like, do you remember fucking Denzel Washington and shit? And remember the Titans?
Yeah,
He's like, water is for washing blood off my. I remember
and you don't get
dude,
blood on my uniform.
Coach used to grab me. You don't fucking bleed on my field. You're not allowed to bleed on the field.
It's like, Coach, my arm has a deep laceration now. I don't know what you want me to do.
So, dude, I would hide injuries and shit to keep playing.
Yeah.
And that's just what it was. So, right, and that's suppressing physical
suppressing
stuff.
A wound.
So then I took pride in suppressing physical stuff, so you might as well just suppress the
all.
mental and the emotional stuff.
It's tough. That's toughness right there.
Fine.
Yeah. Well.
Yep. So you were saying communication?
Yeah, like authentic communications, because the people pleasing, I can sometimes adjust too much to people's personalities.
Tell them what they want to
hear. At the expense of myself. And so I've been working on that a ton. And just communication in general. Like I used to be terrible at public speaking. I used to have this is from, well, I won't get into that part. That's a different story, but like I used to get like very nervous. Like the adrenaline drop, and now like I feel really comfortable
that guy's
public
dead.
speaking.
Yeah, you're the fucking wizard now.
And then like friendships too. Like I always look for few. I mean, most people would say this, but very much for me is like few and meaningful friendships. Because I'm an introvert, I don't have a ton of energy to expend to like when everybody like in high school and everyone's like texting like 90 friends to like feel validated with how many friends. Like I'd rather just have like a couple homies who I have like a really, really strong bond that know me super well, because it's worth knowing that, and a spiritual connection too. So that's like a big part of who I am. So that's why we get along.
Big deal. Like immediately, like I was.
Yeah, we both. Yeah,
20 times I've told this story. we knew each other for like a year, working at the same place, and it was more just like, "What's up?" and keep it moving, because he was in the morning, I was in the afternoon. But I'll never forget where I was when he said something to make me feel something, and other good people were around, and I just felt his vibration to the point where I wasn't like, "Let's be best friends" or whatever.
Yeah,
I was like, "Okay, what if I like just be myself a little bit more?" Instead of playing the role in public, and see if he picks up what I'm putting down.
Yeah, because I remember like the very first, like I knew of you, but we never worked the same times, really.
There wasn't hate or love.
No, it's like, oh, there's like Sean. Yeah. I know you were Nixon and there was Stives, because there's two Seans. That's just like, and then fantasy football was the first time I ever started talking to you guys.
Right. Which is a cool bond for anybody.
Yeah, because it's like, I get,
but it's super.
Because I didn't know you were Adam or any of those guys, so it's like, oh, well, now I get to know more guys at the gym.
Yeah, because you already know sports.
New guys, so,
it's perfect.
But yeah, we were both putting down little breadcrumbs here and there, and we both picked up the breadcrumbs. Like, hey, you got some bread? And he's like, I got some bread. And you have bread? And he's like, I do too.
It's like the meme where the guy's like,
are we about to open up a bakery?
Yeah, dude, we could fucking just loaves of bread now.
Loaves.
It's beautiful. The knowledge bread.
But yeah.
So what I was gonna say before is, when people talk about toxic relationships and toxic people, I realized you were drinking the fucking poison like Romeo and shit. Whoa, and you were becoming toxic to yourself. Whoa. Because you were like, oh, I want to avoid the conflict of them thinking that I'm toxic and doing something, so I'm just going to drink this poison so you don't have to feel it.
Yeah, I'm saving you. Love me because of that, like.
Oh, she's dead, I'll die too.
Yeah, that helps the situation.
That didn't help nobody.
Dick.
Guys, get it together. All right, so real quick, we'll just end with career stuff, because this one lines up super diddly here.
Super diddly.
So the protagonist, when it comes to career path, has the personality type to cast their eyes towards the thing that lets them do what they love the most, which is helping other people.
Just finding the one.
Boom. So that's helping other people. So that's the teacher, the coach, or the counselor. 3 for 3. All right. So the protagonist personality type helps others to learn, grow, become more independent, and has the attitude alongside the social skills and emotional intelligence, which I'm working on, that has a tendency to be the person that gets along with everybody, which I always used to pride myself in. Back before I knew anything about anything, I would get along with everybody that was a good person, no matter what clique or tribe or group that they identified with or what they were with. If you're a fucking goth or a jock or a nerd or a band person or weird or the loner, I'm like, that doesn't define you. Like, tell me something cool about you and we're going to get along. Yeah. And then so many other people that were stuck to their tribalism are like, well, what are you talking to that person for? I'm like, because they're awesome. But they're like, well, they're in this band, or they play this sport, or they do this, or they're a nerd, or they're a dork. I'm like, no, well, okay, but they're fucking awesome, and so are you. So let's not worry about what other people are doing. At the heart, the protagonist likes to see the story end well, and has to feel and experience gratitude and appreciation of the people that they've helped in order to be happy. They exude intelligence, warmth. They're idealistic and charismatic leaders. They're quick learners, hardworking and reliable, and they make people feel comfortable expressing their opinions and suggestions, and want to work together with people to develop win-win situations, which I really like.
Win-win-win. I win for mediating this.
Yeah. Everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
Because that's the thing. When I see people fighting, I'm like, guys, we can all.
That's why we get along.
Win
That's my personality
here. Right. That's the thing. And so that's the complementary aspect of it is the introvert extrovert. I think is where the balance is.
Yeah.
Where it's like, so many times I'll be rambling something, and you're like, yeah, you're right, but calm the fuck down. How about this? And I'm like, yes, that.
But I don't nearly have the fire and passion that you have, which I need to let me express myself a little bit more. It gives me kind of like a candle, you know?
Team.
He's team.
I can't play the goalie and fucking score at the same damn time.
Yeah. That's what defense wins championships, not just about the quarterback, bro.
Straight up.
So that's pretty much for profession. So for mine, again, like the creativity is at the center of what my personality type is. Individualistic, creative, independent, and then being able to help others. So it's my very first, what I thought I was going to be, an architect, so I went to school for, was like tapping into that creative individual side of me. And then I realized like that wasn't where I was going to go. Then I went full 180 to like health and fitness, which is working with others face to face, which I didn't think I even wanted to do for a while. Even though I was doing it, it was like, I'm just going to do this for a little bit.
But now you got creativity plus helping people.
Yeah. So then I didn't find that, and this is the type 2. Their INFPs can look for their perfect job everywhere and not find it and be frustrated with it. So I was like, I'm just going to do my own thing that allows me to do all these 3 things, like help people, express myself creatively, and then be independent entirely.
Boom.
So like a lot of my people in this group are like artists, creative, but also like counselors, coaches, writers. I'm doing all those things. So.
And that's how you escape the matrix too, because none of us would survive. You would probably get along, but like having a cubicle and shit and being chained to a desk all day.
No, I need something passionate.
Because
I wouldn't be able to put.
Brother, work in the salt mines.
Because I'm also doing. Yeah, even if I'm doing that, like I couldn't put I wouldn't put 100% of my effort.
Oh, right, you couldn't.
I couldn't. And maybe it sounds like an excuse, but like I would just feel that demotivated, not doing what I want to do. Yep. So I wouldn't stay in that job for very long anyway if I was stuck in a cubicle.
Big time. So the whole point of this is it's called, the Meyers Briggs test is the official one, but you can Google the 16 personalities quiz, not to identify by shit and not to go into shit that your preconceived notions think of.
This is not a box for yourself to
it's
nudge
not a
yourself
box.
in.
Be honest and open with the X amount of questions that there is, and then reflect and learn from the strengths and weaknesses, because it's just a tool. Everything is just a tool to know thyself. So another